Right, Will Zalatoris obviously is a rising star on the world stage of competitive golf, but that back issue has been bothering him for a number of years now, and ultimately in April, just before the Masters, he decided to, after consulting with his doctors, have microdiscectomy back surgery, which meant he shut himself down for the entire season. Now, this week, he is back to high-end competitive golf after what was an emotional recovery.
The first 5-6 weeks was probably the hardest. And then, once I was able to, kind of just live life, I went back to school, stayed really busy on that aspect, slowly started, I think it was probably in the 2.5, 3 month range of when I was actually able to go out and be productive in practice. But like I said, it was just such a slow buildup, and one of the more frustrating things was actually I was told, I can't play more than 3 days in a row. I think this was at maybe month 5, and I had shot 63, 65, 64 at home, and I'm like, the last thing I want to do is not play golf tomorrow, especially with the months that I'd had leading up to that. But it was really good to, be at home. It was weird. It's something that, I just out of traveling as much as I do, at home, I leave all my stuff in my backpack. And it's I can actually put stuff away in drawers and not live on the road. And so there were some really fun aspects of that. And we did some kind of bucket list traveling once I was healthy enough just to stay busy. Really before, we end up having kids, we go into Wimbledon, knocking off things like that. So we stayed busy, and it was a lot of fun, during that time. But obviously, my mind was still on golf.
Now, when you're a world-class athlete like Will Zalatoris and you have a surgery like that, there is, of course, doubt. Will your body be the same? Will you be able to perform the way you did prior to that surgery? He did get some advice from his doctors, but he also got some advice from a guy who had the same surgery as he did, and that is Tiger Woods. One of many surgeries that Tiger had, a microdiscectomy. They spoke, and Zalatoris said Tiger's words put him in a positive frame of mind.
We had the same surgeon, really just at Nexus Cup was when we got to talk a little bit about it. His was obviously a lot worse and a much different surgery than what I had. He's obviously, I think he's had a microdiscectomy or two, but it was more of not changing who I am as a golfer and my golf swing, but just refining things to where they're a little bit more simple. And so I had always had a big reverse C in my golf swing. Well, the reality is, now I'm way more rotational and way more horizontal with what I do, as opposed to being more up and down. And like I said, it's just simplifying stuff. It's not changing moves. It's not changing what I'm doing. It's just, think it through. Left heel off the ground with a bunch of side bend, that just does not add up to feeling very good on your back. And so really the one thing that, Troy Denton, my coach, and I have worked on is, keep that left heel on the ground. Having the left heel up at impact, yeah, maybe you might get a couple more, miles an hour ball speed, but the part that I've kind of enjoyed about it is I'm driving it straighter, even though it might be, 10 yards shorter. But, I think my best year on tour, I was 150th in fairways hit. So anything, if I could do better on that end, by far.
You said your microdiscectomy surgery was a lot simpler than Tiger's. Let me just ask you, what is your appreciation of what Tiger had to go through, and the fact that, he's making his umpteenth number of comeback this week?
It's ridiculous. There's no other way to put it. What he's doing and what he's gone through with his body, especially to come back and win another major after everything that he had gone through. And mine, like I said, was on a much lesser scale without knowing exactly what he had done. it's mind-blowing to me in so many aspects, and we all appreciated it. I remember watching on the range on my iPad when he won the Masters, and I remember even having like a little bit of a tear in my eye just thinking through what that guy had to go through to win another major. But yeah, this was my first time really having any sort of surgery in my entire life and going through that recovery process, and the fact that he's had to go through so much and still be as good as he is, even, you know, up in his late 40s now, still being able to go out and, you know, just play in majors, you know, is just, there's no other words to put it besides just putting it in the list of remarkable things that that guy has done in his career.
Had a chance to have a conversation with Will today, and I asked him, now that your body seems to be going in a positive direction, are there aspects of your game that you're optimistic about after the surgery? And he said, yes, my putting. And if you followed Will Zalatoris over the last few years, putting has been a bit of a deficiency in his game. He's changed equipment with his putter. He now has an upright broom-style putter, the same one that Lucas Glover and Adam Scott uses. I asked him, does that help your back by standing more upright when you putt? He said, it actually helps my back because I'm making a lot more putts during practice. I don't have to practice as much. So look for that putter in Will Zalatoris' hands here this week at the Hero. Also, during his recovery, he told me he took some college classes. If you remember, he left Wake Forest early to turn professional, and now he's just a few credits away from earning his degree in psychology, which is good to have when you play this maddening game of golf for a living. Anna?
Yes, it is. It's all between the ears. Yeah, one of the rising stars of the game. Going to be so good to see him back in action, Todd. Thank you so much. So you can catch Will Zalatoris out in the penultimate group on Thursday, 12:14 p.m. Eastern, alongside another Dallas native and another former Rookie of the Year. That is, of course, Jordan Spieth. So Tripp, tournament debut for this man, 27 years of age. He's a Wake standout. He's such an exciting talent, and his swing has always been a topic of conversation, but it sounds like he's gone away and he's tried to just simplify the whole thing.
Yeah, and what he said was being more rotational. And, you know, if we go back and look at his swing, this is at the U.S. Open a couple of years ago where he finished tied for second, had a putt to tie Matt Fitzpatrick. But watch the side bend. Now, he talks about this. So look at that lower right part of his back. See all that right there? And he talked about the left heel off of that. There's a lot of compression on that lower right area in the disc problem. And what would happen, you know, there were a lot of players who swung like this in the 70s and 80s, and they could do it because they're not swinging at the speeds that the players swing at today. You can see all that jumping off and the extra speed, that just wore that disc out a lot earlier because of those elements. So he's actually, I think, going to swing in a more technically correct way without the speed, as he said. But again, he's still got plenty of pop on his fastball. Don't feel sorry for him. I don't think he's going to be last in driving distance. But if his accuracy goes up a little bit, he still has one of the best most accurate iron games due to his face control before the ball and after the ball. And if he's putting well, look out. It may not take Will Zalatoris long to get into the winner's circle in 2024. Get a little rust off this week and then hit the ground running in 24.
Yeah, that's right. Pick up exactly where he left off. He's so much fun to watch. First time back in action since the end of March. Will Zalatoris in the field this week.